Chapter 19. The smell of blackberries rose through the floorboards. The smell was joined by the softness of his mother's voice and the low rumble of his father's laugh. Gil pushed back his covers and hopped to the floor, which was pleasantly warm from the oven below. He eased his door open and tiptoed down the stairs. He peeked into the kitchen. His father was pulling bread from the oven, but his mother spotted him in the doorway. She laughed and scooped him up. Our little Rumael. His father pinched his cheek, leaving a dusting of flour. Gil grinned. His father embraced them both, and the world was the smell of blackberries, the oven's warmth, the gentle rhythm of his parents' hearts. Gil could stay there forever. But there was a whiff of apple and mint. He tried to snuggle into his parents, but the scent only sharpened. The warmth around him cooled, and his parents faded. Gil opened his eyes. He realized he was in a bed of cool sheets and plump pillows. He felt wonderful and rested, warm as fresh bread. A kind, wrinkled woman was sitting in the corner of his room. "Tea, dear." Already the tangled threads of his dream were slipping away. He tried to draw them together, but it was water through his fingers. "I saw my parents," he said. It seemed a childish thing to say, but the woman patted his hand gently. And how proud they should be. The last of the dream faded, and Gil pushed himself up. "The mist! Master Drayborn is in the sewer!" "The mist is quite gone, my dear," she said kindly. "But better you hear so from a familiar voice." She left the room. Gil sank back into bed, hope flooding him. Had they really stopped Master Drayborn? Had he really solved one of alchemy's oldest riddles? There was a cheer from the hall, and a beaming Hammond burst into Gil's room and hugged him. "Finally awake! You missed the craziest feast Hazeltop has ever seen. I guess Master Vale pushed it back 2 full days to wait for you, before Bunton said the beans would get bad if we waited till the daisies sang, whatever that means. Never seen so many beans before. And the green, you have to see. Wait," Gil managed to cut in. "How long was I sleeping?" "I slept for 3 days. And you?" "3 days?" Gil asked incredulously. Hammond grinned. "And you've been sleeping for another," he counted off on his fingers. "Feast, wagoning, cellar, rink. 4 days, I guess." "I slept for a week," Gil said in wonder. A dozen questions rose to mind, but one took precedent. "Millie and Rhea, are they okay?" Hammond's grin flickered. "Rhea's been out and about for a few days. Millie is not so well." "She's still asleep?" "Ash is, but no, she was the first one awake." Hammond paused. "You'd better find her yourself." Silence lulled between them. It seemed so strange to be sitting with Hammond in the ward after following him through Gwent and chasing Wilkes into the sewer. The sunlight brightening the room was suddenly very precious. When Hammond spoke, his voice was quiet. "You were right about Madeline and the dragon scale. She was awake today. She could talk to me." The scale was curing Madeline of the rust. Gil had hoped the sickness could be reversed, but to hear proof filled him with hope. "What did she say?" "She wanted to thank us." Hammond swallowed hard, and Gil felt the weight behind those words. His voice was tight, and he nodded. After a long moment, the tightness faded. "You were very brave. I couldn't have gone into that sewer without you, you know." Hammond managed to smile. "Brave, but foolish. I would have tripped head first into the cauldron if you hadn't kept your wits down there." "Someone has to," Gil said. Hammond offered a hand. "I'll do the tripping if you keep holding the wits. Fair?" They shook on it, and there was a knock on the door. "Come in," Gil called. Master Vale entered, silver hair and robes bright as the moon. "That's my cue." Hammond whispered, and slipped out of the room with a smile. Master Vale took the chair beside his bed. Her face was kind. Gil of Evervale, I owe you and your friends a great debt. You protected Hazeltop in its darkest hour. Hazeltop will remember, and I will remember. I heard what happened in the sewers from your friends. You all acted with great courage, but one piece of the story is missing. The most crucial ending, which I have waited so eagerly to hear. Her eyes were brown, steady, and reassuring, but there was something else that Gil could not identify. Something he had never seen before. Something like the first splintering crack on a great frozen lake. How did you stop the mist? A very simple question with a very simple answer. An answer that Gil had hunted all term. One that, as far as he knew, no alchemist had ever realized. Telling Master Vale would catapult him to the top of the class. Master Vale could arrange private lessons for him with any master of his choice. Gil's future would be brilliant. She was watching him, and it seemed to Gil that the crack splintered a little longer. She needed to know how he countered the mist. She could smell it. The answer that had evaded her and the other masters had narrowly saved Hazeltop from destruction. The sewer was full of this dark, smoky shadow, Gil began. Master Vale nodded, and he continued. We found Wilkes and Master Drayborn beside an iron cauldron. They were using it to make the mist. Yes, Master Vale said. How did you stop it? He very much wanted to tell her. This breakthrough would push alchemy to new heights. Higher magnitudes of potions could be created, with dizzying effects. This was what he was afraid of, he realized. If he told her, the world would be forever changed. Alchemy's capacity for good would accelerate, but so would the bad. The mist was trivial compared to what could be. This knowledge was for him to hold. I think Master Drayborn reversed the potion somehow. Master Vale patted his hand. Your friends thought Drayborn had no mind to change his course. I find I agree with them. Think back on that night and tell me, what did you do? Her tone was pleasant and warm, but her eyes were fixed on him. He must have fallen asleep in the mist and the potion stopped working, Gil said. Is that all you remember? Master Vale asked. Yes. The ice broke, and for an instant Gil saw sadness and anger shining in her eyes. Then she stood, and it seemed some of her grace had gone. For the first time he understood her graying features were not only a sign of wisdom, but of age. She paused in the doorway. If you remember more, tell me. I would be most interested to hear the full story. There is little room for secrets in a place so big as this. She tried for a smile. Hazeltop has a way of airing things out. Gil was dismissed from the ward later that morning. He was given his cloak as he left, and the weight of his full pockets was comforting. It only took him a few moments to realize that his cloak had been thoroughly inspected. The pouches and stoppers of ingredients were disorganized and in the wrong pockets. The hunt for his secret had already begun, it seemed. Hazeltop was peaceful. There was no pounding of distant anvils, no banging of doors, no sea of students clomping and shouting. It felt as though Gil had the entire grounds to himself. He began to walk. He had no real destination in mind, but his feet led him to the silver smoke, looking over the steaming lake, with Hazeltop behind him. He could believe he was on the edge of the world, staring into a great wilderness. As he watched, silver blurred beneath the surface before a drake leapt from the water. It winked in the sunlight and splashed back into the lake. He wondered if it was the same drake that had attacked them on the beach. What a difference the potion of iron had caused on the drake. His thoughts strayed to Master Vale, the flash of anger he had seen. How differently would she treat him next term? His feet carried him onward, and he looped past the meadows. The prairie had now died down. Frost painted the grassland in a beautiful icescape. Next was the thicket, tall and dark as ever. Gil was not altogether surprised to see old Ham sitting on his stump. The master of herb lore was gumming up pumpkin seeds, which was not unusual. It was slightly more strange when Gil watched him reach into a pumpkin and harvest some more of his breakfast. Gil had never tried raw pumpkin seeds, but he didn't think he had to. The arena was guarded by a few sleepy scarecrows on practice posts. The orchard was bare, though some optimistic squirrels nosed around the empty branches. Gil turned back toward the flask before he reached Grent, and his trail brought him to the egg. Rhea was there, standing at the smooth white wall. She seemed very focused, and she did not turn until he was a few steps away. Her eyes widened, and then she hugged him. "Gil, are you okay?" She stepped back hastily. She looked tired, but she was brightening at the sight of him. "I didn't know how long you would sleep. I was starting to worry." Gil smiled. "Just needed some beauty sleep." "Me too," she said. "I've been trying to remember what happened in the sewer, but everything goes black after Drayborn said Brindle. Do you remember anything else?" "The mist knocked me out too," Gil said. She nodded seriously. "If it wasn't us, then who? I think Hazeltop defended itself that night." "This place is worth defending," Gil said. "It is," she said firmly. She watched him steadily, as though convincing herself he was okay. "Will you go home?" Gil nodded. "I'll find a wagon tomorrow. And you?" She looked back at the egg. "This is my home now. I'm staying here." He was fortunate she didn't see the surprise on his face. He tried to keep his voice even. "Is everything all right?" "It's just," she sighed, "the barony. I think they were behind the mist." This time Gil couldn't keep the shock from his voice. "The barony? How do you mean?" "I talked to Master Vale, and she agreed with me. It's no secret the barony has no love for magic, and Drayborn was from there. I don't want to believe it earlier, but now it seems so obvious." "Wait," Gil said. "You suspected the barony was behind this, but you didn't say anything?" Rhea faced him. She seemed very small and sad. "How could I be certain? My parents loved hearing about Hazeltop, about the grounds and classes and the snowball." She suddenly stopped, looking sick. "They wanted information from you?" Gil asked gently. Rhea's eyes filled with tears, and she nodded. Gil hugged her. He had no words, but there were never words for times like these. It was evening when he finally returned to the flask. He had not seen Millie anywhere on the grounds, and he hoped she was okay. He would see her tomorrow, before he left. He was standing in the room, wondering if there was any dinner, when Bunt emerged from the kitchens. What was left of Bunt's hair had been meticulously scooped over his bald spot, and he was bustling with cheerful efficiency. He grinned when he saw Gil. "Crowd's a bit thin tonight, but don't let that scare ya. Food's good as ever, I'd say." "Better, from what I've heard," Gil said. Bunt grunted. "Still got beans from the feast, if that's what you heard. Might have been a little heavy on the beans. Got excited, see, being named Master of Food and all." "That's amazing," Gil said at once. "You'll be the best yet." "Better than the last one, leastwise. Care to eat in the kitchen?" Gil had to agree with that, and he sat at one of the chopping tables with Bunt. Their dinner was plain but hearty. Chicken, potatoes, buttered corn, and double servings of beans. Bunt pulled mugs of cider from the barrel and produced 2 slices of blackberry pie. Gil took the liberty of washing their plates and mugs. He was pleased to see Bunt had moved the scrubbing station away from the drafty door. Gil was warm and drowsy as he made his way up to room 107. For once, Hammond was already there when he arrived, sleeping peacefully.